Gat Seoul Station, our MC Fatty was seen clicking a photo of some shoes with his phone. He set it as his profile picture and noted that if it wasn't available there, he would have to go to another station. Right after, his profile updated successfully. A message appeared on his screen. He had seen the starting a new life ending, obtained a skill, and completed all 99 endings. Seeing this, Fat Tai was overjoyed. He believed he was the only person in Korea to have completed all 99 endings. From across the station, an old lady observed him. She thought how children these days could enjoy so much with just a phone and questioned why her daughter-in-law was so eager to take away her child's device. As a train passed between them, the old lady lost sight of Fatty. When it cleared, she saw him sitting with a gloomy face. Her thoughts changed and she began to agree with her daughter-in-law, deciding to take away her grandchild's phone. At that moment, Fat Tai received a call from his mother. She asked where he was. When he replied, she sternly demanded to know which station he was at, hoping it wasn't a homeless shelter again. His father whispered to her that her own father was also angry this time. Fatty informed them that he was at Seoul Station. Hearing this, his mother became furious. She shouted, frustrated that the college entrance exam was just 2 days away and he was still playing games. She reminded him that even if he didn't study, he should at least come home on time. When Fatty tried to calm her, she shouted that she had endured enough for 6 years. Fatty responded with affection, promising to come home soon, and ended the call. Still enraged, his mother exclaimed that she should be the one to die, claiming she couldn't bear to see him anymore. His father tried to ease the situation by asking if he should send a message offering Fatty a ride. She agreed. Fatty's father then messaged him, asking if he had money for a taxi and if he should come pick him up. Fat Tai replied that he had enough for the fare. His father warned him that his mother was still furious and had been doing planks for 5 minutes in anger. He told him to come in quietly. Fatty responded with an apology. Fatty then considered turning off the game and heading home. At that moment, another message popped up on his phone. It acknowledged that he had completed 99 life endings and congratulated him, announcing that his true reset life would now begin. The narration revealed details about Reset Life, a god-tier game only the most dedicated gamers could access through a hidden route. It was a location-based augmented reality game introduced 6 years before such systems became popular. The game was so difficult that everyone else had given up, and even its homepage had been shut down. Fatty reflected on his deep connection with the game. In one storyline, he had begun as a 4-time failed law school applicant and ended as a courtroom prosecutor. In another, he started as a Hongdae street performer and reached #1 on Billboard. The game let him achieve dreams he couldn't in reality. Reset Life had become his life. A new screen appeared, asking him to choose one skill to inherit as a reward. Fatty accepted this happily, deciding on the skill he needed most. But the screen didn't change. Confused, he stared at it. Suddenly, a message appeared. He had obtained the secret skill Reality Fairy Tale. His 100th life, his real life, was about to begin. Then the story described the skill called National Top Scorer. It stated that success in life depended on 99% talent and only 1% effort. Studying was also considered a talent and those without it would never succeed no matter how hard they tried. The scene shifted to a quiz setting. A man asked question number 21 about an incident in July 1866 involving an American merchant ship that led to the Shenyango. Among the many present, Fatty answered first. The announcer noted how he always responded as soon as the question was asked and questioned his confidence in his answers. During break time, Fat Tai sat alone in the washroom, surprised that so many kids were talking to him. He didn't mind the attention and thought this might be the esteem stage in Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. Suddenly, someone burst into the washroom, accusing Fatty of being a demon who had taken over his friend's body. Fatty simply asked him to close the door. Outside the washroom, that same boy confronted him about the Reset Life game. While he called it trash, Fatty stood firm, calling it a god-tier game. The boy asked if he had really memorized all the text files needed to obtain the National Top Scorer skill. He found it unbelievable. Fatty confirmed it, saying that getting hit by a signboard and memorizing 50,000 textbook files was how he became a genius. That was the requirement for gaining the National Scorer skill in Reset Life. He described the sensation of being electrocuted as knowledge rushed into his brain. Knowledge he couldn't possibly have understood before. Despite the changes in his brain, his passion and determination remained unchanged. He had always given everything for Reset Life and understood that nothing came for free. He had crammed with everything he had, and the feeling after submitting his exam paper was a mix of exhaustion and satisfaction along with a belief that anything was possible. His friend then asked if Fatty had really changed or if this was his true self. Fatty in his mind felt unsure. The friend remarked that Fatty shone brighter than any version of himself seen in the past 7 years. He promised to cheer him on until the end. Fatty thanked him and reminded him that his team's dance performance was up next. The friend replied that he had prepared a lot for it and invited Fatty to eat together afterward. Pork cutlet first, then Italian, then pizza. As Fat Tai opened the gate, he saw everyone waiting for him with excitement. One of them asked if he had checked his preliminary SAT scores. Fat Tai confirmed he had. The person informed him that he might be the only person in the county with a perfect score. Fatty replied casually, saying it wasn't that difficult. The person then asked if his scores were out already. Fatty apologized and explained that his mom didn't believe him anyway, so he didn't expect others to either. His friend suddenly shouted again, accusing him of not being the real Fatty and demanding that whoever was inside his friend's body come out. At night, Fatty's mother felt overjoyed with his academic score. Fatty apologized sincerely, admitting that all he had shown them until now was his obsession with gaming. His father handed him a drink, jokingly acknowledging that if it was that kind of study game, they should have known earlier. He proposed a toast to their genius son's early admission to Korea University. Fatty expressed his gratitude. His father asked what he planned to do until college started, wondering if he would tutor. His mother found the idea great and mentioned that even their distant relatives were desperate to have Fatty tutor their kids. Fatty shared that he was thinking of going on a solo trip for a while. Then the narration introduced the skill, where there's a will, there's a way. It explained that knowledge could be gained through learning health through exercise and style by following mannequins. This unique skill could be acquired by placing purified water at midnight, performing 108 bows for 77 days, applying the water to the face, and drinking the rest. Performed in front of the wish-granting Buddha statue at the Gwanong Stone Buddha at Giveaway. Fatty's friend reacted to the bizarre conditions, saying they were better than getting hit by a signboard. Fatty explained that he had substituted the process by checking in at Banguna Temple in Samyeongdong. He added that he only posed once for a photo doing the 108 bows. In the present, Fatty realized that now that it had become reality, those tricks wouldn't work anymore. He regretted not building stamina first. Bowling turned out to be more difficult than expected, and the hike had already drained his energy. Yet he decided not to give up. Fatty recalled a past moment when someone called him Annie Odway and asked to borrow gym clothes. His friend asked about the nickname and Fatty explained it was a mix of glasses, acne, and pig. His friend jokingly compared him to a flatfish pressed by a hydraulic press and asked for a photo. Fatty, surprised by his selfie camera, made his friend laugh. Reflecting on it now, Fatty admitted he was genuinely shocked then. Looking into a mirror without fog was scary. It showed his disliked self more clearly. He wished to be reborn with clear skin and a body that didn't gain weight like June's. But crying, he realized he didn't want to be born again. He wanted to remain his parents' son whom he deeply loved. He remembered a moment when his mother handed him money, reminding him it was the day for his temple stay. He said he already had enough, but she insisted. She reflected on the years when his father, after getting promoted and relocating from the countryside, rarely came home. She had been too focused on supporting his father and ended up neglecting Fatty. That's why she let him immerse himself in games, thinking that if they earned well, he wouldn't go hungry. She believed that in this one life, at least he could enjoy gaming and stay healthy. She thanked him for growing up well and expressed her love. Back in the present, standing before the Buddha statue, Fatty made a heartfelt promise to return as a son his parents could be proud of. Finally, on the 77th day, the Venerable approached and called him by his real name, Jinho, asking if he was ready to descend the mountain. Now transformed into a handsome and confident version of himself, Jinho smiled and expressed his gratitude as he prepared to leave. At Incheon Airport, a crowd of fans grew excited upon spotting some celebrities. Security guards were doing their best to manage the situation. Just then, one guard received a call through his earphones and asked what was going on. The person on the other end asked if it was the departure area and whether any members had been separated from their fans. The guard confirmed that no one had been separated. The caller expressed confusion, wondering if those people were actually just ordinary individuals. At that moment, a man approached the guard and questioned how someone could mistake a celebrity for an ordinary person, even with sunglasses on. The guard apologized, admitting his misunderstanding. The man brushed it off, saying it was all right. Overhearing this exchange, two girls whispered to each other, noting that they had assumed those guys were rookie actors due to their striking looks. Then Jinho appeared, walking while talking to his friend on a call. His friend demanded to know where he was, calling him a traitor. Jinho replied that the so-called traitor was currently heading toward the gathering spot. The friend gave him one last chance, warning him not to peel a tangerine, comparing him to an unscratched lottery ticket with rare potential. He reminded Jinho that he had been receiving all the photos. The narration returned to the skill where there's a will, there's a way, emphasizing that it wasn't a skill that changed one's appearance after 77 days. It explained that even if someone started from the depths of mud, with relentless effort to rise to the surface, they could bloom like a lotus and flaunt their brilliance. On board the plane, a flight attendant approached Jinho, asking if he needed anything. Jinho politely declined. Inwardly impressed by the kind service of Korea's flagship airline, another attendant offered him a towel. Noticing his cough, he thanked her. A third one handed him a water bottle, asking if he was thirsty. He replied that he had already had something to drink. Jinho began to feel overwhelmed. Inside the bottle, he discovered a love note. He thought to himself how the power of good looks was truly astonishing. The number of notes he had received now exceeded the contacts in his phone. Realizing he was now both academically capable and handsome, he believed he could make many friends. Upon arriving in Milan, Italy, Jinho entered his room and collapsed on the bed. He was shocked that no one had spoken to him. He had missed an important detail. Every member of the Challenge Big Bell language study program was a top student capable of competing till the end. Their confidence built through relentless studying was far stronger than that of ordinary students. To them, Jinho appeared as a disruptive force in their environment. He figured that if he showed off his Italian skills, they would eventually come to him for help. But this backfired, too, creating an unintentional second blow. It was a simple rule of human relationships, but for Jinho, who had just stepped away from a game-addicted life, it all felt too confusing. That night, he cried while lying in bed, hoping he wouldn't remain alone for the entire program. The next day, Jinho sat alone at a restaurant. He hadn't slept well and decided to have breakfast early. He believed food wouldn't taste good when eaten alone. But as he began eating, he was surprised by how delicious it was. He wondered about the jam's flavor, realizing it was something he had never tasted in Korea. His gaze shifted to a man sitting nearby. He reminded himself not to feel down, especially after traveling so far. He now saw himself as a stylish guy enjoying coffee in Milan, the fashion capital. Taking a sip, he winced at the taste. The coffee was extremely bitter. He thought he might have ordered the wrong thing, but the receipt clearly said coffee. In Italy, cafe meant espresso. Just then, a woman behind him asked whether the owner had explained that earlier. Jinho lit up with joy and admitted he didn't know, thinking he should have researched beforehand. He also noticed how pretty she was. The woman commented on his fluent speech, noting that even the owner likely assumed he was a local. She said his expressions were so natural. She couldn't resist talking to him. She then asked if he was a model or actor. Jinho told her he was just a student about to start university. The woman wondered how much of his talent was going to waste. Jinho complimented her beauty in return. She handed him her card and told him he needed to be more confident. Thanking him for the compliment, she kissed him on the cheek. As she walked away, she told Jinho to call her if he was interested. She advised him to carry himself with more pride, saying that if she had seen how he looked without glasses earlier, she would have kissed him on the lips instead of the cheek. With that, she left. Feeling delighted, Jinho thought to himself how unbelievable it was to be approached by such a bold and beautiful woman. He knew this wasn't the time to get lost in thoughts and quickly decided to save her number. Looking at the card, he realized it had been a street casting after all. Just then, he began to exclaim that the food was spicy. At that moment, another woman approached and asked what was spicy. Recognizing her, Jinho responded with surprise and addressed her as Aunt Sunungmi. She reminded him to call her Nuna and mentioned that she had worked until dawn and was still tired, warning him not to provoke her. Sunmi was introduced as a challenge Big Bell writer and the study abroad program's language supervisor. Jinho pointed out that despite her tiredness, she had woken up early, saying it would be a waste to sleep while in Italy. Suni noted that he too had woken up early, as most others were likely still asleep. Jinho laughed and explained that he was too excited to sleep. Then a thought crossed his mind. The worry he had yesterday might be something could help solve. He told her he had a concern. Sununji asked what it was. Before he could explain, a man arrived and placed food on their table, surprising them both. Jinho reacted to the generous spread, calling it the power of an adult's wealth, and referred to it as the result of a reset life skill, like the tale of the country mouse and the city mouse. Shanmi disagreed and questioned what he meant by reset life. She suspected their order had come out wrong and asked him to inform the owner. Jinho agreed and walked over to the man, politely pointing out that his companion hadn't ordered so much food. The man assured him it wasn't a mistake. Jinho, surprised, questioned why the food was brought out that way. A suspicion formed in his mind. Perhaps this was a tourist scam where extra food was served to overcharge those unfamiliar with the local language. The man smiled and explained that he simply wanted Jinho's jewel-like eyes to shine in his cafe a little longer, and asked him to repeat that message. Hearing this, Sunmi looked at him and asked what he had just said. She then teasingly questioned whether she should really tell him. Sunji thanked the shop owner sincerely. Jinho then turned to her, wondering if she wasn't bothered. When she asked why, he explained that she had just received random flirtation. Sunmi didn't mind, calling it innocent kindness. Even if it wasn't, she found it rather pleasant. She then pointed out that Jinho should be more concerned, having been hit on by a beautiful woman first thing in the morning. Jinho was surprised she had seen that. Watching him, Suni thought to herself how rare a person he was, someone who could have the whole world but still remain so innocent. She decided to share some advice with him from her experience as a TV writer, even if she wasn't a head writer yet. She asked what he thought was the most important element in broadcasting. Jinho guessed it was pretty celebrities, good cameras, and proper lighting. Visuals that could captivate people and boost views or ratings. Suni acknowledged his answer, then questioned whether visuals were the true secret behind Challenge Big Bell's ratings. She explained that broadcast itself was a combination of broad and cast. If someone had caught attention and had something to say, they should throw out their message. She compared it to the beautiful woman earlier who used her appearance to grab Jinho's attention before giving him her business card. The cafe owner had done the same, catching her eye with service before expressing his thoughts. Of course, she noted, things don't always go well. A gift like flowers, if unwelcome, could create awkwardness. Jinho agreed. She reminded him that the act of expressing was what mattered most. Just conveying the message was enough. Meanwhile, inside a bus, a girl sat reading a book, struggling with pronunciation. She wondered how she was supposed to pronounce certain words, finding the system so different from English that she couldn't figure it out. Someone then approached her. A moment earlier, Jinho had shared another concern with Sunmi. What if it wasn't the flowers, but he himself that people didn't like? Sunmi advised against hanging out with those who disliked him, calling it pointless and disrespectful to both sides. Returning to the present, Jinho offered help to the girls sitting in the bus. It was now day 4 of the language study abroad. Inside the bus, 2 boys sat looking visibly troubled. One of them longed to eat cold rice with ramen while the other craved kimchi stew. Suddenly, one pointed at a church outside and joked about praying for kimchi stew. He then added that since they were in Italy, maybe they should pray in Italian. At that moment, they spotted Jinho approaching. The red-haired boy acknowledged that Jinho must be struggling. Jinho responded with a plea for help. Reflecting back, Jinho realized that Sununji's advice had been successful. It had awakened his dormant confidence and courage. Girls began gathering around him, eagerly asking for pictures. They grew obsessed with him, which sparked jealousy among the boys. Strangely enough, this situation ended up bringing Jinho closer to the guys than the girls. Jinho admitted that he was starting to fear visiting new tourist spots. One of the boys commented that handsome people naturally became walking photo machines, or life and cuts. He jokingly added that being moderately good-looking was probably the best. Jinho added that even moderation needed to be done in moderation. Suddenly, Jinho started running away from them, prompting the 2 boys to chase after him. Some girls nearby watching the scene unfold wondered aloud what was going on with the boys. Just then, Jinho abruptly stopped. He felt something strange like the discomfort of wearing ill-fitting clothes. He realized that if he didn't keep his back straight, it would remain uncomfortable. Curious, he approached 2 girls and asked if they had uploaded the pictures they had taken with him on social media. One of the girls happily confirmed they had. Jinho asked how many likes the post had received. The girl replied that it had just crossed 10,000 likes. Jinho then understood what the strange feeling was. It was the reawakening of reset life. He realized it wasn't dead yet. As expected, all the gaming experts played this game. A being born solely for modeling, a natural talent that had gone unrecognized. That was true skill. He felt amazed by his own potential. Proud of being the best. He never thought he could continue gaining new skills. He began to wonder if it was possible to max out all his stats to 99. He considered whether there might be any side effects, but the excitement was overwhelming. It felt like receiving CBT rewards followed by OBT rewards and now even attendance rewards all in succession. He found it awesome. Soon, juiced crowd gathering nearby. Curious, he wondered if a fight had broken out. He moved closer and discovered it was actually a model photo shoot taking place. Man on the phone instructed someone to take their model away since the shoot had ended earlier than planned. The writer, visibly angry, declared that they wouldn't work with that agency again. At that moment, Jinho received a message on his phone asking what was going on. He replied via text that a model shoot was in progress and that the professional world was absolutely thrilling. Back on set, someone asked the writer if they should reshoot the next day. Then, the writer's eyes landed on Jinho. A big smile spread across their face, and they declared that God must love them. Without hesitation, the writer demanded that they bring the Asian boy over immediately, by any means necessary. A new skill called I'm the hottest thing is introduced. It explains that a person's peak isn't when they're working hard, showing off their knowledge, or spending money. It's when all eyes are on them. Some people are simply meant to be in the spotlight. Then, a model named Leonardo appears, visibly angry. He's frustrated that someone else has been chosen instead of him. The writer looks at the new model, Jinho, and doubts his ability. To him, Jinho seems like a complete amateur, someone who hasn't even done full makeup before. Despite his good looks, the writer knows that real professionals can sense true presence instantly, even in a crowd. Jinho has that aura. Jinho informs the writer that he has received the supervisor's permission for the shoot. The writer acknowledges it but questions whether Jinho is a true professional model. Jinho openly admits he doesn't have experience. Still, he believes that in terms of skill, he qualifies as a professional. He's just not famous yet and doesn't belong to an agency. As the shoot begins, Leonardo is stunned. Jinho performs with impressive professionalism, surprising even the writer. Watching from the side, Leonardo realizes the truth. Just by observing the shoot, he can already picture the final photo spread. He imagines readers stopping to admire it. Jinho looks incredibly cool. Leonardo had intended to criticize the shoot, but now he clearly sees the difference in their levels. The next morning, Jinho is seen taking a shower. Afterward, he looks at himself in the mirror, smiling. The language study trip had been full of new experiences. He even participated in a photo shoot and made many friends. But for him, the best part was buying gifts for his parents for the first time. He notices his mom wearing a scarf and asks about it. She proudly says she wants to show off the gift her son bought. His dad is even more enthusiastic, though he doesn't say it aloud. Later, at a gas station, a worker spots a new watch on Jinho's dad's wrist. He asks about it. Jinho's dad replies with pride. It's just a watch their son bought using the money he earned from modeling in Italy. The worker jokes, wondering if their gas station could get into modeling, too. Back home, Jinho's mom brings up Aunt Jin-suk. Jinho responds that of course he knows her. In his mind, he remembers her as the annoying lady who always looked down on him and his mom. His mom, full of anger, reveals that Aunt Jin-suk wants Jinho to tutor her child. She's so frustrated that the cup in her hand begins to crack from her grip. Jinho says he could do it, but doesn't want to burden Aunt Jin-suk with tutoring fees. He realizes his mom wanted to refuse as revenge, but couldn't find a solid excuse. Then his mom suggests Aunt Mon. Jinho remembers her fondly. She's almost the only one who supports both him and his mom. She's also the generous mom's friend who gives him a lot of allowance. He clarifies that he's not being biased. The allowance he's received from Aunt Mon isn't exactly a small amount. His mom laughs, satisfied with his answer. Jinho reflects on everything. Studying well has allowed him to be this filial. He feels genuinely glad to have the national top student skill. Before leaving, his mom asks if he's sure he doesn't want her to come with him. She also notices that he's wearing the suit from Italy. Jinho confirms that it's the one June insisted he wear to the entrance ceremony. She finds it amusing, noting that things are different from when she was young. Jinho says goodbye and heads out, promising to call if he's going to be late. As he walks, people start noticing him. They whisper among themselves, surprised that he's the only one wearing a suit. They can't believe he's a freshman. After all, who wears a suit to a college entrance ceremony? Then Jinho receives a text from Jun. It reveals that the suit suggestion was a joke. As the proud freshman representative of Korea University, he solemnly pledges under a lofty and upright spirit to devote himself completely to academic pursuits. One of the boys watching from a distance realizes that this is the rumored freshman Jinho. He admits that Jinho is even better than expected and says he likes him a lot. Another student overhears and asks if he really likes Jinho that much. The first one confirms with enthusiasm that he definitely does. The scene then rewinds to 10 minutes earlier. That same student had been observing Jinho and thinking to himself, a perfect CSAT score paired with a face like that. The suit alone must cost thousands. He recalls hearing about a chaebol who once wore a tailcoat to the opening party and wonders if Jinho might be one, too. Since Jinho's face isn't publicly known, he assumes he might not be the official heir. Still, the thought of scolding someone like that scares him. He decides it's better to let things slide. Back in the present, Jinho sincerely apologizes to the student for not contacting him and missing orientation. He explains that the language study trip felt like a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and he completely forgot. He regrets not finding the senior's contact information in advance. The student reassures him that orientation isn't mandatory and that they're not old-fashioned seniors. He asks why Jinho brought it up. Jinho replies that he heard them talking about him loudly earlier. The student then apologizes and asks about the unusual outfit Jinho is wearing. This question startles Jinho. He panics at the thought of becoming a loner in college too. Then an idea strikes him. He tells them he has an interview shoot scheduled for Korea Tomorrow magazine right after the entrance ceremony. Hearing this, the student is stunned. Korea Tomorrow is the country's first university magazine and highly sought after by successful Korea University students. But with a face like Jinho's and a perfect CSAT score, it makes sense. The school must be eager to promote him. Jinho continues, saying as soon as he received the offer, he started thinking deeply about how to make readers associate his pictorial with Korea University's business administration department. That became his main concern. Internally, Jinho wonders if his smooth explanation is due to the national top scorer skill. He goes on to explain that among all the intelligent students at Korea University, the business administration department is said to have the most elite. So he questioned what kind of clothing would suit such a department. The answer was obvious. Only a suit could reflect that image without embarrassment. As he finishes his explanation, Jinho realizes it might have been too much. He should have just admitted that a friend tricked him. Moved by Jinho's explanation, the student warmly puts a hand on his shoulder and tells him to call him Hyung from now on.